If you're just getting into wine, it's very common that it's very challenging to pick out a bottle. With all the different flavors and colors, it's so understandable why you just pick the first bottle you see with the first grape that you recognize. The problem is a lot of that stuff is trash and they don't try to hide it from you. So my goal here is to make it as simple as possible for you to find good wine. But if we want to ensure it's good, we're going to look at natural wine. So today I'm going to show you my top 5 natural wine brands that I want you to look at to get started. So the first natural wine brand I want to tell you guys about is Jumbo Time Wine, and they're owned by Jonathan Yadigar and Omar Kukes. So Jumbo Time Wine is based out of LA, and they make all their wine in Sonoma County. They believe in only buying from organic farmers that use minimalist intervention in the cellars. And they have a very straightforward approach. They believe that wine is more about farming than trying to develop a specific tasting profile. So every harvest, they start out with a bunch of grapes, and they kind of have a loose ideal of what they want the end product to be in bottle. But a lot of the times they let Mother Nature decide what the end product is going to be. So you will get red, whites, sparklings, and everything in between. One of my favorite parts about Jumbo Time Wine is not just the wine itself, but the way their brand makes you feel. And they pay real close attention into being a part of the culture, whether that's collabs or just being in the right places. These guys are definitely ahead of the pack when it comes to creating vibe and bringing young people in. The next brand that you guys should get to know is Day Wine out in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. This is one of my favorite brands because it's run by the owner, Brienne Day, and she has a goal of making all her wines extremely expressive, making sure that she represents everything that is Oregon and making sure she pushed the limits. She places really high importance on creativity, and sometimes she makes wines that you're not able to get each year. With her wines, you will find red, white, sparkling, and everything in between. And she makes a wine called Deep Blue that's just delicious, and that represents Oregon very well. It's traditional Pinot Noir. If you can get your hands on one of her wine and take it somewhere, they're definitely conversation starters. I will go one farther, they're even relationship builders. So if you can get your hand on some of her wine, make sure you do so. Another brand that you guys need to get to know is Ruth Lewandowski, and Ruth Lewandowski is owned by Evan Lewandowski. Evan lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, but what is very interesting about his wines is he gets a lot of grape juice from California, and then it's shipped all the way to Salt Lake City, Utah. I know this might be not the most traditional way, but his wines are amazing and I drink them all the time. And if you ever get the chance to come across some of his wines, make sure you try the Faints. That's one of my favorite wines that I had all year, and I'm excited to see what he keeps coming out with. So the next wine brand that I think you guys need to know is one that's very close to me and one that actually helped me get my start in here from just tasting her wines, and it's Nancy Ireland of Red Tail Ridge. Nancy Ireland is, I don't want to say pioneer, but she's pretty much that for a lot of people. She has a very extensive background in winemaking, and she's really devoted to making sparkling wine. And I have a few of her bottles here. This is her single varietal Chardonnay, and this is one of my favorite bottles of all time. This is her Perpetual Change, and this is made in a traditional method in the Finger Lakes. I pretty much see a lot of her wines as the gold standard for natural wine and just wine in general. So if you get a chance to get a Red Tail Ridge bottle, definitely get it. And the last wine brand I want you guys to know about is Frenchtown Farms. Frenchtown Farms is a husband and wife team made up of Aaron and Claire Mockridge. All of their wines are pretty much delicious. They make wine in the Sierra foothills. I guess you can say they had an interesting start, given that they farm land that used to be owned by a cult. They're gonna make wines that are very expressive to the climate in the Sierra foothills, and they also use a bunch of dry farming. They make wines that are red, white, and everything in between, but they make very powerful red wines that is very typical of the California climate. So if you see any wines from Frenchtown Wines, make sure you try some of their Malbecs, some of their Syrahs, and some of their red blends. So all these wines on this page are all very good. They wouldn't have made this page if they weren't absolutely delicious. So if you're looking to find good wines or hear about more good wines, hit the subscribe button, or better yet, join the wait list in the bio so I can send some of these wines directly to you. I'll be back.